Phil and Will are back for real this time. Hope everybody had a really good Thanksgiving. We're going to recap both episodes that happened. They were two amazing episodes. We're both really mad that we didn't get to talk about them then, but we're really going to dive into them, talk about all the huge moments that happened. We're going to do our predictions, do our power rankings, do all of that. But the big news coming out of this week, Phil gets his 5 points. And this has been something that's been brewing in our little storyline here for a while. And it finally comes to an end. Steven goes, Joe wins. Joe loses immunity and still stays around, and I get my 5 points. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked.
I was shocked too. I did not think that was going to happen. Heading into that second tribal council, I thought it was Abby that was going, and I was so happy it was Abby because you had her as your eliminator pick. So I was like, nice. I'm going to, Fishbach will skate on by. He won't have the advantage anymore. He won't be that big of a threat. Abby will go home. I'll take at least one fantasy game. And now everything is just falling apart for me. The eliminator pick is going to be tough. I haven't even thought about it yet. Not a good outing for me. But the episodes were great. They were both amazing. I love Steven's reaction at the end when he got voted out. He was like, nice. Wow. Good move, guys.
Yeah.
Like, good job.
Probably so happy you can go take a dump in a toilet now instead of having to crap like 500 times in the woods. But yeah, he took it like a champ. And that's how you expect somebody like him to take that. Like, he took it in stride like he's supposed to. And I mean, it was what amazed me the most, and we're going to talk about both of these. But yeah, that was like a crazy vote. Like, I'm surprised Steven went then. What amazed me most in this whole episode, though, is that the first vote, they had enough votes to get Steven out. I was shocked by that. I thought Jeremy was wasting his idol to play it. I thought for sure that Sierra was going home still, and they did not swing the numbers. I can't believe they got enough numbers to vote Steven out really twice in the same week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't shocked by that. I was more, for me, going into that, I was like, man, I don't know how Steven's going to get out of this, but he has to. I just know he is somehow. And when Jeremy is like, hey, hold up, Jeff. I don't even know why they went to an ad there. Like, yeah, it's suspenseful, but at that point, you knew what he was going to do. He was going to play it for Steven.
Because Jeremy's name never got brought up.
Exactly.
It hasn't gotten brought up really all season. Curious to see if now the way things are starting to change, if Jeremy's name starts getting brought up a little bit. Just because it seems like the alliances were starting to form, and now we're kind of back to square one a little bit because this one group saves Joe, but do they really want to keep Joe around that long if they have the next chance to get rid of him?
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is way more about we need to get Fishbach out than it is we need to save Joe. They still want Joe gone. And which I think needs to win immunity.
Yeah, I think this speaks volumes about how well Steven was playing. And yeah, we were all like, well, is he getting like this weird, whiny edit? Like, are people kind of like he's getting like almost like a loser-y edit? But it seems like people still would have voted for him to win, and they wanted to get him out that bad to weaken Jeremy and everybody else and give themselves such a better chance to win this game that they keep around Joe, who could easily win every single immunity from here on out. I'm really surprised they didn't get rid of him, especially this early. I thought Joe would have been gone. I thought that he would have had to work his way in a little bit more before this happened in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the players, too, who was like Kelly Wentworth, Spencer, like big players saying, you know what, I'd rather Fishbach go than Joe. Like, that's how much of a threat Fishbach was. He very well could have won at the end. I think it had a lot to do with that move to get Kelly Wigglesworth out. Like, he could take full credit for that. And Spencer knew that. Kelly Wentworth knew that too. So I think that had something to do with that Steven was building this resume. Let's just go to the first episode, kind of go through it. We have a lot of interesting things here. We're not going to go through scene by scene or like completely break it down because we do have 2 episodes to do and our predictions to do because this is kind of a group episode. We tried our hardest to get the podcast on the Wednesday, but the internet was not being our friend. Where do you want to start here, Phil?
I can't remember what was it the night? What was the night before? I don't really remember what happened when they came back from this tribal. I remember Joe was still mad.
Tasha and Joe were mad because Wigglesworth had just been voted out. They weren't in the loop. But Tasha kind of said, but hey, like once you get enough numbers to vote, you don't need to include me. Like Tasha was way more cool with it than Joe was. Joe swears, he says, I'm pissed, and he's like mad.
Yeah, but you see, I think Joe's a little more mad because he always has kind of felt like an outsider here. And now this further proves it. Whereas Tasha still feels like she's in with that group. I think Joe was like nervous here because he's like, damn, not only am I the biggest threat in this game right now because I can win every immunity, I don't even have anybody getting my back. Tasha can let it roll off a little bit more because she can still this is the first time he's ever done anything like this to me. Joe doesn't have that luxury because he has to be thinking then, wow, if I do lose, I really am gone.
Right. No, I totally hear you. I would be pissed if I were Joe too, especially because Joe is also much closer to Kelly's Wigglesworth than Tasha was. So I think that had a lot to do with it.
I agree. If you want to do you want to talk about this reward challenge?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't not really.
I'm just figuring like if you wanted to talk about because just like the team, so we can at least talk about what happened after this first episode. The ending was fantastic. Everything up to it, I loved like the rock situation and everything. But before that, it rained so much that these people were like seriously not able to get out there and do as much like as in the second episode. Like this, it was just downpouring the entire time. So when they did this reward challenge, pretty cool reward challenge. Just another one we've seen like a bunch of times. It was cool. Kelly Wentworth tackled Joe, so that was kind of cool. But Joe's team ends up winning No, Joe's team lost, right?
No, Joe's team won.
Joe's team won. That's what I thought. Why the hell do I not have that on here? Anyway, Joe's team wins.
So that team pretty much says the 5 that go say we got to get Fishbach out, and the 5 that stay say we need to get Joe out. And there it is, right there for you, Joe versus Fishbach, continuing this kind of they're butting heads right now. And it was very everyone at camp was like, yeah, we got to get Joe because they all lost the reward because Joe was not on their team. Like that is even making them mad.
Yeah,
especially with the rain. And I guess if we want to talk about the rain too, Steven was getting so much about he was just miserable, crying, kept saying, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. And I was watching it with like a bunch of people, a bunch of my cousins, because they're like, what's Survivor all about? Like some of them hadn't even seen it. And one person was like, why is he breaking down right now so much? And I told him it's literally because he loves the game so much. He does not want to be medevac. Like he was fearful that his body couldn't get through it and that he was going to have to be pulled from the game. And that would kill Steven.
He was in real danger for getting like pulled. Like he was like crapping like crazy. I mean, his feet looked disgusting. They were swollen up like an old person's feet. Like how old people, like their feet just start to swell up as you get like really old. That's what his feet looked like. It was gross. Like they were really bad looking.
Yeah, Keith's feet were terrible too. And then, of course, there's the foot challenge, the very next episode.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it was cool though. I thought Keith was great back at camp where he's putting on Joe's shirt, just saying, screw Joe. Like, I need to stay warm. Screw Joe. Like, this is like, we're finally starting to get more of Keith, who's still around, man. Keith is still kicking. He's still here. But yeah, it was Joe's either going or Steven's going. Like, that's who everybody was saying. I still am surprised though that Sierra, and I think Sierra, you can say what you want. I think Sierra played this fantastic. She really did. I mean, she was able to swing the numbers and got the vote to a place where they were voting out somebody without an idol who was a power player. It just so happens they didn't take into account that somebody would play their idol for him because you can't know Jeremy has 2. You know?
Exactly. She did everything she could. Before we get there, though, let's talk about the rock thing at the immunity challenge. This went. I wasn't shocked by this. I think you were way more shocked how many people put up the white rock.
Here's why I was so shocked by how many people put up the white rock. You have to know Joe is going to play. 100% Joe is going to play. And if everybody's been talking all episode about we have to vote out Joe. We have to vote out Joe. So why would nobody go up against him to try to knock him out? Only Keith does it. And I like how Keith didn't get a rash of shit for this because he didn't deserve it. Keith was going in there to beat Joe. And anybody out there who thinks Joe is selfish for doing this, remember, this is a game for $1 million and only one person wins. If he does not put that rock out there, Joe goes home 100% in that first episode. 100%. So, anybody who thinks Joe is selfish for this move, you're delusional. And if it is selfish, and it's supposed to be, but you're delusional if you think he's a bad person for this. No, he knows he has to win, and this is the only way he can win.
Yeah, no, and he put it very well at Tribal. I don't think anyone really believed. I think people were like shaking their heads because they're like, "Damn it, this was like if Joe was not gonna have immunity, this would be a perfect time because he is trying to play a different type of game." But he's like, "No, I need to win this challenge." He does. I thought maybe, I thought Spencer might hop in there.
I think Jeremy or Spencer would have for sure.
Yeah,
and maybe I think it came down to with Sierra and Kelly that they didn't think they could win.
exactly.
So I think they were like, forget it, we'll throw out the White Rock. Because Sierra's saying like, oh yeah, I'm willing to give up my spot in this game to show that I'm ready to be like a team player. I think that's really her way of saying I had no chance to win this challenge. I figured Joe was going to do it. I'm not going to beat him, so at least try to make myself look good. Which it seemed like it worked for her.
And I think a lot of people did that. I think Abby did that. I think Steven did that. And Steven was in so much pain. He was never going to be able to win a physical challenge like that. So I wasn't that shocked at that many. I mean, maybe Tasha, you think maybe she would game up. All you need is 5. You think maybe they would talk about it out loud and say, I mean, Jeff even said it. You guys can, if you all trust each other, all you need to do is plan it out. All you need is 5. How about like take the 5 people who have the least shot of winning? Some people would volunteer. Steven would shoot his hand up,
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, he was not. He was never going to compete in that challenge. I'm shocked 8 people did it. I thought it might have been 6-4. I thought that they were probably going to end up getting the tarp and everything.
They were going to
end up being.
Yeah.
But for 8 people, and Keith if Keith puts out the White Rock, Joe wins immunity just by putting a Black Rock out. That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think Keith ever questioned it, especially because he played this challenge in his first season and he didn't win, and he does like the ball challenges. So I wasn't shocked at all for Keith, and he seems to be doing fine in the elements. I mean, Keith he's a fireman, like he can handle it. I'm just surprised they didn't talk about it, because if you talk about it and come up with a plan and then you like don't go through with it, like if you say, all right, I'll go white, and you don't,
yeah,
you look like the biggest asshole. So if you talk about it out loud, people aren't like, I know Survivor is a game of liars and it's for $1 million. If you're standing there and there's 10 people and you tell 9 other people that you're going to do something and then you don't, like that's not just a lie, like to get votes or to, maybe play an idol or some strategic move. That's just like a mean move. And you're probably going to go home.
With Mike last year.
Yeah, I like Mike's move would have been better, but because it wouldn't be as blatant. Like Mike kind of. Yeah. And it was more of like, I need that game advantage. This is like, man, we could have, if you would have told us this, we could have worked out a way for us to still get the shelter and let you participate if you really wanted to. So I think if they talked about it out loud, we would have had more participants. No one's going to go back on their word in front of 9 people. At least I really don't think so. It wouldn't be a smart move.
And I did like Tasha trying to spin it on Joe at Tribal to at least try to make Joe defend himself, where she was like, I don't think I could have lived with myself if I would have made that decision. I'm not that type of selfish person. And Joe coming back, I mean, he played it perfectly, where it was like, if I don't put out that rock, I go home. Like, and anybody who's thinking anything else, because I saw on Twitter, a lot of people were giving crap to Joe, not like from necessarily our followers, but just in general. A lot of people were giving crap to Joe for this move. And it's like, are you kidding me? Joe goes home. There's no doubt in my mind Joe goes home. Like, why would you put out the White Rock there so you can live in a shelter for an extra night and be dry? You're going to be dry anyway because you're going to be at Ponderosa. So,
right.
I mean, great. I thought this was great by Joe. I thought it was a smooth move by the explanations pretty much by everybody else as to why they did it, even though I think a lot of it was just I don't think I can win. And this led to a really, really entertaining post-immunity challenge because once again, Joe wins and you can't vote him off. So now it's coming down to Steven or Sierra. And they had all the numbers to get rid of Steven. They had 7 people vote for Steven. They would have had 7 people vote for Steven. It was 5 for Steven, and then the 2 girls threw their votes at Kimmy in case he played an idol.
Yeah, I still don't really get the whole Kimmy vote because Steven did end up getting an idol. So what were those Kimmy votes for if you weren't going to put 3 on?
Who did they think they had? Because they didn't have Jeremy. I think they thought they had Jeremy.
I don't think they. Oh, okay. That's what they must have thought they had Jeremy. But even if you think of Jeremy, then you have 8, right?
Yeah.
So why are you voting 6-2?
Thank you. That was going to be my thing. There needed to be one more vote for Kimmy because then they still could have voted Kimmy out of this game on a revote. Because Jeremy would have played his idol to save Steven, but then Steven ends up staying in the game and Kimmy goes home because of the revote. So I don't understand why only 2 of them voted for Kimmy. It was 5-3-2. I don't get why they only threw 2 at Kimmy, unless Jeremy was supposed to be the one who voted for Kimmy. But I doubt they would have put all the pressure on Jeremy to do it, knowing he was kind of close with Kimmy.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, you would want to do this 4-3-3. So the person with 4 goes home. If an idol's played, then it goes to a revote. I thought that might happen. And then once I saw, like, you know, the 5th vote for Fish, I was like, what? Well, yeah. I was kind of confused. Yeah, I never thought Steven really was going to go home, even though it seemed like they really did have the numbers. Like, going in, I was like, wow, they have enough votes for Steven. Maybe he'll play his advantage. Maybe he'll sniff it out. I thought that was going to be the case. Jeremy playing his idol for Steven, I mean, at that point when it was like build up, I was like, okay, he's going to do it. And they mentioned it a little bit before, but wow, man, yeah. I don't know. What do you think? Is this good for Jeremy? I mean, it clearly isn't. Because we've seen the second episode.
Exactly. And here's the reasoning. He saves Steven. So he keeps Steven around for one more week, but then Steven ends up going home anyway. Like, it's not like he was able to save. This is like the whole thing. This goes back to Survivor Panama. And back then, for anybody who doesn't really remember, Terry had the idol. It was his tribe was down 6-4. And everybody always said, why didn't Terry give his idol to somebody in his alliance instead of letting them just get picked off? The reason Terry never did it is because he knew he would give his idol to somebody and they would still get picked off because it would be 5-4. And I'm so confused as to why Jeremy did this here, because if he knew that it was going to be a huge landslide that Steven was going home, did he think that he could turn people and change their minds and actually get a majority again? Because this seems really short-sighted, because the next vote, Steven goes home and he doesn't, and Jeremy never had a majority anyway. So it seems very, very short-sighted.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think. I think part of it is when you play an idol successfully, it just looks good, and it's something. You're in front of the jury. You're in front of everyone who's going to be on the jury if you do make it to the end. Mm-hmm. And he knew for sure Fishbach was going home. He knew the votes were all headed to Fishbach because it was between. I mean, Spencer was saying we got to get Fishbach. Jeremy was saying we got to get Sierra. Spencer said something's got to give. I think Jeremy was probably like, all right, we'll do Fishbach. He knew the votes were there. And so he's like, look, I got 2 of these things. I can guarantee my, a good player in Steven, he's going to trust me way more after I save him, all this stuff. So it looks good. So maybe even if he does go, I've still made a big move, even though, it obviously doesn't have that much of an impact, but it looks good.
Yeah, and the other thing this could be is this could be the whole target, the alpha male targets that Jeremy's talking about. If he knows Steven is still number 1 on their radar and he saves Steven, he's got to be thinking, well, they're still going to vote out Steven before they vote me out, so it does save him an extra week instead of him being the next on the chopping block possibly. Also, gets rid of a really, really feisty player in Sierra who was seriously turning things around and could have, if she gets through that vote, she could have won this whole thing. She really could have won this whole thing. Just because she was starting to get the numbers and her little Witches Alliance and Spencer, it seemed like it was starting to take shape. It really did.
Yeah, it was. I think what we have to ask ourselves here, if we're doing this recap after only seeing the first hour, are we saying this is good for Jeremy? Are we liking this idol play? Because we see the second hour right after Steven goes home. It obviously makes Jeremy's move look really bad, wasted idol. But just from that after the first hour, what did you think of the move?
I thought it was fantastic for TV. I was kind of in the middle on it. And it was one of those moves where if we just did the podcast right after that first episode, and we sat here and said Jeremy should be MVP, I wouldn't disagree completely with it, but I would be like, well, we don't know if it's an MVP move yet because it very well could get him voted out the next time.
Yeah, I don't know if are we doing just one MVP or 2 MVPs? So
we might have to do just one.
I mean, I think Spencer.
I think Spencer was the MVP.
Yeah. I mean, he single-handedly got flipped it on Steven, even when Steven used a vote steal, which is, we were saying how powerful it is. We'll get into that whole episode.
Where are we commenting, by the way, for this video? Do you have it as still the last video? I'm just looking now.
Sure, yeah. It'll be just the last video. I didn't put it in the description. Okay. My apologies, but yeah, tweeted us. You can comment on mobile on this video. So yeah, I guess, the best video is the episode 10 and 11 prediction video. And we already have a lot of comments on there from people thinking that we were going to podcast, and we tried 2 times. I I tried setting up a private hotspot with one of my cousin's phones. Like I tried everything. It just would not work. Anything else on this first hour?
No, because I mean, now let's just go to the second hour where they come back tonight. And when Joe did the sneaky Jeremy mimicking Kelly Wentworth, that was really, really funny. I don't know if like anybody else really picked up on that, but I just thought that was hysterical.
I picked up on that, but Kelly's sneaky wasn't a confessional. So maybe she's saying it more than one place.
I think she's saying it all the time, yeah.
I remember she went sneaky when she found the idol.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they were just independent of each other. I don't know.
Maybe.
I did catch that though.
Yeah, no, I thought it was funny, and it seemed like nobody was really too mad about this whole move. Yeah, they knew like now there's the definite alliance. Jeremy's protecting Steven, all of that. But it did seem like it worked out for Jeremy at the beginning of this episode. Steven was going to be completely loyal to him. And it didn't seem like anybody else was really, really that mad. I mean, Kimmy even said it was really classy, which I thought was kind of strange. So,
well, that's because Kimmy voted with Jeremy and Steven to vote out Sierra. So Kimmy was obviously happy with it. Yeah, I think on idol plays, you can't really – it's not like someone turned on you or betrayed you or lied to you. It's just like, damn. They played an idol, and there's no anger. It's not like Jeremy said to them, "Look, guys, I'm with you 100%." Or I mean, Jeremy had no allegiance to Sierra or the Witches Alliance anyway. So I think it made sense. They were. Yeah,
I think they ended up being okay with it in the end here. So now reward challenge comes around. And Steven made a huge mistake here, man. This is a great. I love these challenges, by the way. This is so old school. This is like as old school as it gets, doing this type of challenge.
When I saw this, I was like, man, what if they're gonna do a right immunity challenge? We get a boot, and then so we have a 1 hour, 1 boot, and then the second hour, 2 boots. I thought very well, because when you have like the fire and it's nighttime, something says to me it's not reward. That was my first thought. I don't know if that crossed your mind, but I was like, oh man, this could be a wild episode. We could have 3 people going home in 1 week of TV.
That would have been insane. Now, that wasn't – I mean, I completely agree with you. It doesn't feel like a reward challenge for this, especially since I think every time they normally do this challenge, it is immunity. Exactly. I think they just wanted to bring it back, to be honest. I think they just wanted this to be – they haven't done this in I can't even remember how many seasons. It's been so long since they've done something like this where he tells the story and sits around. It was a staple back in like the first 6 or 7 seasons.
And I like how there was 3 options this time, because usually there's only 2. I really like the 3 options. It makes it a little bit more difficult. I cannot believe Steven pulled this one out. We saw his feet. This was one where you have to run back and forth. He's, it was sick. I mean, answering those questions in your memory when you're sick, I mean, that must have been tough. Before we talk about Steven's decision to bring Tasha and Jeremy, I think we got to touch on this idol clue. Yeah. I'm not really a fan of this, to be honest. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm not a fan of where this idol clue was.
Here's my only problem with it. The idol was too easy to find, and yeah, I know they want it to be like in like an obvious position where you can get caught and all of that. If you're gonna make it,
I don't have a problem with that.
No. Listen. I'm getting to my point. If they're gonna make it where it's just complete luck that you find this clue in a challenge, anybody could have picked it up. You have to hide another clue somewhere, or it has to be a clue to a clue, and then you can put the idol somewhere obvious. This was too lucky for Kelly Wentworth to just pick this one up and then be told exactly where it is. That's just too much. Like, if you're gonna do this, you have to tell them, you have to lead them like on like a goose chase here. You can't just say, "Here's the idol." It's too random. There's no really skill involved.
I say you scrap the whole random clue. You can't just get a clue that lucky. Why couldn't they have put the clue in, the reward with where Steven, Jeremy, and Tasha, they go to the resort or whatever. Put it somewhere there, or hide it. Just rehide the clue back at camp, and then say, "Look, it's because I love the shelter thing. I think that's fun." The editing really probably made it much more exciting than it was. I don't think Kelly Wentworth was close to getting caught at all when finding it.
I tried to tweet at her, but she didn't answer me. Tried to ask her how close she really was, because I don't think she was that close.
I don't think it was close at all. I mean, when they were showing it, and I guess we'll just get to this now. We'll talk about Kelly's idol here. When she was saying they started coming back, when that confessional was being played, it was over the footage of her under the shelter. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be awesome. What if she has to sit there and they go, hey, where's Kelly? And they're just kind of, and she has to find a time to pop out. I mean, that would be amazing. That's what you want. That's what you want when you hide an idol under shelter. You want someone to get stuck under the shelter. And they teased us with it so hard. I was so bummed when it's like, oh, she just really had, I mean, nothing really happened.
And it was great that Abby wouldn't go away, too. Like, that was kind of, that added to it a little bit where it's like Abby just will not go away. She's the annoying little sister. And Kelly gets everybody else to go off and do their own thing. Did I ever doubt Kelly was going to get this idol? No. But I like this. I just don't think that she should have been handed a clue like that. She should have had to find that clue, not just be –
yeah, that could just happen to anybody.
Random. Yeah, exactly. Keith could have gotten it. And the problem here is it wasn't Keith or Kimmy who got this. This is Kelly Wentworth. This could completely change the game. And I'm not faulting Kelly at all. Like, go Kelly. Good for you. I'm glad you found it. I'm rooting for Kelly. Like, I like Kelly a lot. But this completely changes the outlook of the game right now. She is handed an idol completely by chance.
Yeah, I totally agree. And even, let's say she can't get it that day. Everyone comes back from reward. Everyone comes back from fishing. It's still under there. Like, Kelly Wentworth, her name was never brought up. She can just say, I mean, unless there was something specific that said, look, there's a time limit. You have to get this by tonight.
Yeah, like how Jeremy's was one night.
Right. That was the dumbest thing, too. The idols really – I was so excited about them being hidden at challenges this season. It really has gone downhill how people are getting clues and getting idols. Pretty disappointing.
The first one was fantastic. The Kelly Wentworth one was a lot of fun. The Jeremy one wasn't too bad.
That was fun. That was fun. It was the same. I mean, it was at a challenge.
It seems like they didn't have this plan for the individual portion of the game too well.
No, they did not. Not at all. Let's talk.
Let's talk about Steven. One great thing Steven did in this challenge, when he tricked Abby Maria, that was hysterical. Because Abby Maria was a competitor in this challenge. She had a chance to win this. She hadn't gotten any questions wrong. And when she's thinking and Steven comes over and lifts up the one he knows is wrong, and she just grabs it, and he just puts it back and actually reads the question, that was great. Like, that was awesome.
That's a pro Steven move. That's
brilliant.
That's MVP level if he doesn't get voted off that episode.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's kind of funny because that could have been MVP level for him if he doesn't get voted off that episode. And Sierra could have been the MVP of the first episode had she not gotten voted off. So the two people who get booted could have potentially been MVPs had they not. Sierra was unlucky. Steven, they completely misplayed that advantage. We'll get to that at the end. But this next move was not right. This was wrong. First of all, he takes Tasha first.
That was the worst part. Like,
you take Jeremy first, and everybody understands.
Yeah, taking Tasha first is like letting people know I'm thinking very, very strategically about this. Like, he said something about an alliance. It's letting people know that you're really basing this on trust. If you pick Jeremy, everyone goes, all right. Everyone kind of give him a round of applause. Like, he deserves it. And then picking the person who comes in second is always the safest move. If I'm out there, especially someone like Spencer, who you need his vote. Like, he is with you. He flipped on Kelly Wigglesworth with you and Jeremy. Why can't you three go and have this reward? Man, Spencer said it best. Like, was that really a know-it-all decision right there?
100% exactly what I was going to say about this. Spencer was so close to beating you anyway, and he's kind of in your alliance. It's so easy to just say, I'm going to take Jeremy because he saved me last night, and I'm going to take Spencer because
he's a great competitor.
Right behind me. Yeah, so all you have to say.
Oh, man, it was such a hard-fought battle. Thanks, man. It could have been either one of us. You really did a great job. That's all you got to do.
Instead, he takes Tasha first, says it's strategic to everybody, and then he takes Jeremy after that. And, like, you could see Jeremy was annoyed because Jeremy's like, if he doesn't freaking take me, I'm going to punch this guy in the head. Like, Jeremy looked like he was ready to just beat the crap out of him.
Even when Steven said Jeremy was still shaking his head like, dude,
rolling his eyes.
Why did I not get picked first? I mean, there's always the argument, obviously, he's not just going to take one person. There are 9 people left in the game at this point. You know there's going to be at least 3 people on reward. I was surprised a 4th didn't get invited, honestly, just because that seems to be the way rewards go. 4 out of 9, that sounds very normal to me.
Yeah, that does. I completely agree. Interesting. This was a really interesting move. I think this is where Steven got himself voted out of the game here. Because, people were still looking at Steven as a really big target, but he didn't have anybody really hunting for him. And by him doing this, then they go back to the shelter and everybody sits there and they're like, if you don't see that threesome, then you're blind. I think Keith even said that. Like, that's saying a lot right there. They wait for Kimmy to walk away because Kimmy's in tight with them. And they all sit there and say Steven has to go next.
Yeah, and they had this is a lot of the people that voted for Steven in the last vote. So it's not like anyone needs any convincing. Everyone's like, yeah, Steven needs to go. When you have 3 going on reward, it's almost better not to go.
You never want to win these challenges.
If yeah, right? I mean,
Never.
He gets the advantage, and it's, jokingly called a disadvantage because of the target. And then he wins the reward, and then who you take is always going to screw you over. There's never a right move. I mean, even if he says Jeremy because he played the idol and Spencer because he came in second, even if he says those things correctly, everyone back at camp is going to be like, wow, we need to get those 3 out. Like, that's just going to happen naturally with any 3 people that go, just because people are mad they're not eating. They're mad they didn't get picked. They're mad they didn't win the challenge. And if it's Survivor, you're going to talk to the people who you are with for any reason at all. You need to make any connection. And if the connection is we're both sitting here and it's raining and we're both hungry, that's perfectly good. Let's vote together.
Yeah, exactly. And now you have people sitting there saying they're going to work with Joe. If they take Spencer on this reward, they might be able to talk to Spencer and say, look, we really want to work with you going forward. And then they can go back and try to clean it up with Tasha, and Joe still goes home. Because I don't think anybody really wants to work with Joe because they know that he can win every challenge, but they needed him for this vote. They absolutely 100% needed him. What did you think about the move of Steven telling Tasha and Jeremy what the advantage was?
I'm okay with that. I think with an advantage like this, you need to know where votes are. And telling Jeremy, I think you got to do, just because he played the idol for you. Jeremy's not going to throw you under the bus. He just wasted one of his idols on you. Tasha, definitely a little, less obvious of a choice, saying, look, I'm going to tell Tasha. But when you're on reward and you just took this person on reward, they voted for you, but you want to work with them, I'm pretty okay with it. Yeah. Especially with this kind of advantage where it's like there's a lot of moving parts. You get to vote, and then you get to pick someone else that doesn't get to vote, and you get to vote for them. Like, you need to have a lot of information. So it's not like an idol. You can just hold on to it and play it one time, boom, there it is. This vote thing, you have to go up and then vote twice, and you have to kind of know where the numbers are.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think it was I think it was pretty good of him to tell them. I don't understand why he told Spencer later on in the episode. I thought that was a little too ballsy because it doesn't seem like him and Spencer were that tight. Also, I mean, if we're just going to – we can talk about the immunity challenge and everything, but this advantage play, they messed this up so bad. They messed this up, like, terribly.
Yeah, I'm still not sure why they decided to – I guess Joe maybe has an idol. But if you think Joe has an idol, then why even split it? Why risk it? Why don't you just put all your votes on Abby?
Here's my thing. If you think Joe has an idol, Joe is 100% going to play his idol because he knows he's going home. So vote for Abby. Joe will waste his idol anyway, and Abby goes home 5-4. Why would you not do it that way? Instead, they try to split up the votes where if Joe had an idol, he was going to play it no matter what. So why even waste doing that with the votes, knowing he's going to play it? Just vote for Abby.
Yeah, I guess the thing here is they really thought they had Spencer, and that's what it comes down to. If Spencer doesn't vote for Fishbach, if Spencer votes for Joe, then what is it? 3-3.
I'm trying to figure it out, man. Let me say. I'm looking at the –
because Steven got voted off on a 4-3-2, I believe. And so if Spencer's –
it was a 4-3-2, so it would be 3-3-3, and then a revote.
And then you revote, everybody votes Joe.
Yeah.
Or if he plays the idol, everybody votes Abby. So that was their plan. They just didn't have Spencer. I mean, we've seen this a lot this season. They don't split the votes with Kelly Wentworth. It bites them in the ass. They split the votes with Joe and Abby. It bites them in the ass. Like, it is tough. Like, so
yeah.
Maybe that's why, because they said, look, we didn't do it for Wentworth, and look what happened. So we got to do it. I mean, that could have factored in. Like, they already got screwed for not splitting, so they maybe now got a little cute with using Steven's advantage to split the 2 votes. I did like how he said, my vote is for Abby, and then Joe's vote is for Joe. Steven really was blind. I mean, this was a huge blindside. Like
Yeah, he knew Joe was going home, and then Joe doesn't go home. Crazy.
because at least when Dan played this vote, the extra vote last season, like he casted 2 votes, and then Carolyn played her idol. So like, yeah, that's going to negate the votes. Steven played an advantage that's even more powerful, and there wasn't even idol played. Like it just didn't work. Like he didn't do it the right way. It's so shocking that that's how it played out. Especially I kept saying, man, if you want this advantage in someone's hands, you want it to be in Steven's. He's going to do the best. He's going to make the best of it. Not the case.
It was the same thing that happened when Wentworth ended up using the idol and getting Savage up. They got cocky there, and they got cocky here. They got cocky there by not splitting the votes. No way Kelly Wentworth ever has an idol. They got cocky here by saying, oh, we have enough people. We can just do this, and we can split the votes. And, oh, man, Joe won't be voting. This will be fantastic. You could see Joe thought he was gone. I guess we should get to the immunity challenge that Joe Fonnelly loses just to talk about it for like 3 seconds. It's the Baylor-Wilson challenge, man. It's the challenge Baylor won back in San Juan del Sur. How crazy. Joe can't win this challenge, but Baylor can. I mean, Baylor's better than Joe at this.
Yeah. I mean, it's true.
It's a weird challenge, and as soon as it showed up, I'm like, Joe's going to lose this, and Joe's going to go home. This is finally where Joe loses.
It's such a weird challenge. It is it's bizarre. I don't know every single one of these immunity challenges has been someone at their individual station doing one task. I want some mix up, I want some newer challenges.
Do something like they did in Cagayan, and I'm just saying Cagayan because it's the one I can think about right now. But in Cagayan, when they did that one where they had to count the amount of things and then run back out and count the amount of things and run back, like I want to see something like that where they're actually interacting with each other and they're going past each other, and there's a lot of pressure on you because you're all doing the same thing as opposed to, you're sitting at your station. You hear Jeff talking, but you don't actually see anything going on. You don't know, I don't know. I agree with you. There needs to be something else going on here than just sitting there or standing there or bouncing a ball. There has to be some sort of action. Yeah,
like what about the ones where it's like, all right, we have 9 people. The first 4 to cross go to the finals or the semifinals. And the first 2, they go to then it's a one-on-one. It's like a progressing obstacle course or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. Or they have to pick up pigs and put them in a pen, or I don't know. They rip off food, the meat from. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of fun challenges that Survivor has to keep doing these like very, endurance, balance related challenges. I do love these challenges, but can we have one? Just give me one time. Do something.
And this all comes down to they try to make it an even level playing field so that somebody like Joe can win or somebody like Abby Maria can win. That's what they're trying to do. Make it so that it's kind of random and like it's not just like pure strength or pure wit or anything like that. But the problem is
the counting one would be perfect for that.
Yeah, I think that the folklore thing is more of an immunity challenge than what the immunity challenge was.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. I think the folklore one is totally an immunity challenge, but the foot one is too. When you have that individual station, that's totally immunity. I don't know. We don't need to talk about this. It seems like we're in agreement here. Do we want to get into power rankings now, or do we want to do some comments?
I think we should do some comments and then kind of like throw the power rankings into it a little bit, because a lot of the comments are going to be about these last 2 episodes. So we might as well at least address those, and then we'll start working our way through the power rankings. This is going to be fun. I don't know how long we're at right now, but, this is going to be pretty long.
I think we did a good job of recapping that.
Yeah. So we're both in agreement. Spencer's pretty much MVP, since we're not going to be able to do the everybody vote and tell us who you think MVP is.
Yeah, I give it Spencer. He was in the voting majority in the Steven, and then Jeremy plays the idol. Can't really do much there. And then he's the one that single-handedly gets Steven out of the game. That was his move.
So who would you think LVP would be here?
Man, this is tough. I don't know. Maybe Abby. I think Abby was in such a good spot for her name to come up and her come so close to going home when she really had no reason to. I mean, we didn't talk about this. Abby was a nutcase. Like, she returned to old Abby in that.
She was ready to quit too. I was going to say
he was about to quit. Yeah. She's like, yeah, if it's me, whatever. Like, geez, you got to give it to LVP to Abby.
Yeah, that's why that was going to be my reasoning for her to be LVP, was just because she was ready to quit. And anytime somebody's ready to quit, that is worthy of being LVP. I think we might have given it to Jen even last year when she wanted to quit, which that was hard for us to do because we like Jen. So let's read some comments here. God, I'll start with Twitter. This is going way back, so hopefully I'm probably going to miss some. I'm just throwing that out there to everybody, but I'll see what I can do. Okay, this is actually about the Joe thing. I'm Mads O. This is about Joe playing The Rock. Maybe everyone thinks they can use this choice in the final tribal council in their favor, more important than beating Joe. What do you think about that?
I mean, it depends who you are. I think the biggest reason is if you don't think you can win, it's like obviously you're gonna play The Rock. Like there's no reason not to. It's like when Will in last season he said, I'm gonna give up my spot in the immunity challenge if I can get my letters from home. And it's like you're not giving up anything, Will, because you can never win this challenge to begin with. So I think it's more has to do with that.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Well, we'll say, yeah. I don't know. I think that Joe had no choice here, and everybody else, they're trying to sound selfless, but I don't think they really are, which a lot of these comments coming up are about that. Mel said exactly, glad Joe said something during Tribal about how he had to do the immunity challenge, otherwise he'd be out. Anne-Marie Pincivero, I love how they all tried to sound so selfless. BS, they knew they couldn't win anyway and wanted shelter. You can't fault Joe for anything. The man is perfection. Go, Joe. Joe for the win. I mean, Joe had to do what he did. Joe did this perfect, and anybody who's trying to do anything or say anything else, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's something about Joe too. Let's just talk about we never touched on this. Who did you think was going? I guess both tribal councils. I already said I thought it was going to be Sierra heading into the first one. I thought it was going to be Abby going for the second one.
I actually thought it was going to be Steven at the first one because I didn't think Jeremy would play as idol for somebody else because we really haven't seen that. I know Parvati did it for two people, but that was really to turn the game on its head. She needed Jerry and Sandra back in Heroes versus Villains. Here, Jeremy, it seemed like he could work his way through this with the two idols. He could still make his way through, and it seems like he's still good with like a lot of people. It seemed like a lot of people just didn't trust Steven. So I thought Steven was going to go. I was kind of surprised Jeremy played his idol for him. The second one, yeah, I thought it was going to be Abby. Abby or Joe. I mean, it seemed like they messed it up so much that it almost seemed like everybody was just voting Abby. And it seemed like Abby wanted to go, so people might have started throwing votes Abby's way anyway, fearing for Steven's advantage, especially since Steven said with his advantage, he told Spencer about it. So maybe Spencer's like, let's not vote Steven. Let's just get Abby out of here. She doesn't want to be here anyway, and let's make sure that this is like a done deal.
I thought that was very likely. And especially because Wentworth was talking to Abby saying like, no, we're fine. I thought Kelly was going to throw her vote at Abby. Spencer would throw her vote at Abby and was just kind of going to be, Abby kind of goes because she was, messing up everyone's plans. I did not think Joe was going at all because Joe had his confessional saying how he didn't play a social game last time or a strategic game and that he's changing and stuff like that. So once I heard that confessional, I was like, boom, Joe is safe. I was like almost sure it was going to be Abby. So I was shocked when it was Steven. I really was, especially because I've been so high on Steven. He's one of my favorite players to ever play. R.I.P. Steven Fishbach.
Yeah, you know what? Good for he went out with like class though, and if somebody's got to go out, this is the same thing I said about Savage. Savage got screwed by a twist the first time. You go out this way, the way Steven just went out, and like it's almost like okay, what else could I have done? It's not like you did something necessarily wrong. Like Steven played this game really well. He used the advantage wrong. He was doing everything right. And just a quick aside, if you haven't watched the Ponderosa videos, go watch the Ponderosa videos. They are amazing. Have you not watched them?
I have not. I've been so busy. I have not been able to do any,
Sierra is hysterical. She trolls Savage so hard because Savage is bitter as hell at Ponderosa. He finally warmed up the cast. Sierra shows up, and Wigglesworth and Savage are just giving her the cold shoulder. And Savage, and Sierra, like a little 5-year-old child, is just sitting there like, wow, everybody seems angry at me. Wow, Savage, you don't seem happy with me. And she keeps saying it to him to the point where it looks like his head's going to explode. But really entertaining.
Savage is such a baby.
He's being a huge baby right now at Ponderosa. Steven gets in there. Steven is great. He compares himself to anybody who's a Game of Thrones fan. He compares himself to Varys, which if you know anything about Varys,
Varys.
He's the spider. He's got all his little he's got his finger and everything, but he's also missing something. So it was just funny for him to say that, and he even acknowledges that that's the reason why he's saying that to Cass. Like Steven took this like a champ. Sierra took it like a champ. Like they both knew what this was. Ponderosa is great.
Married, right? Phil.
What?
So, Sierra is married, Phil. So don't get your hopes too high on Sierra. I know you're really falling in love.
I'm just liking the way Sierra played the end of this game. I thought she did everything that she was supposed to right. I thought she played really well, and I'm happy that she goes to Ponderosa and trolls the shit out of Savage because it's funny. I love Savage, but grow up, man. It's a game. Everybody else is understanding that. He just cannot wrap his brain around that.
Very nice, very nice. I'll have to check those out.
Yeah. And Curtis, is the double vote twist thing an official Survivor kiss of death? Dan used it in the episode. He went home, and so did Steven. Do you think we'll ever see this played properly?
I think so. I do. I think because both times, I mean, if you're production, you're going, wow. 2 times in a row, we give someone this advantage, and they get screwed over. They end up going home when they use it. It's such good TV. Not only do they want to see it played correctly, because that would be fun, but if people keep screwing it up, that's good. That's good TV. So why not? Why would you put an end to that?
It's so far, it's been a great thing for the show where even though it hasn't worked out, it's still caused a lot of drama. And it's caused, this is a blind side of Steven because Steven thought that he was so confident. That was a blind side of Dan. Dan was so confident. It's a good thing to have on the show. I like it. I hope it sticks around. This is like a good addition.
And part of me is I love Steven, but when Joe realized this and Steven's like, I'm going to steal Joe's vote, Joe goes damn. The one time I don't win immunity, I still get the numbers to make something happen, and then someone takes my vote. What can I do? It's so awesome that Joe survived this because that would have sucked to see Joe go home. Even though we had the whole 5-point bet ourselves, that's a shitty way to go. When you really got the numbers on your side, everyone wants to target you, and then your vote gets stolen that.
Yeah, and it's essentially you voting yourself out because it was 5-4. You had the numbers, and then it switched to 5-4 because your vote is being used to vote you out of the game. That's crazy. I agree 100% with you. I love Steven. Steven, I probably wanted to win this game at that point. I just had to kind of be devil's advocate to you a little bit because you were so in love with him. He's not married, Will, so you still have a chance. But, I know you were so high on Steven, so I had to play devil's advocate a little bit. But, man, this move here for Joe to stick around, finally lose an immunity challenge, and still be in the game, that speaks volumes to how much he's actually grown as a player. And I'm happy that this happened for him. I'm happy to see that he's still going. Don't know if anybody noticed this. I guess I don't want to jump into the power rankings. I'll say this later. But, yeah, I thought this was great. I'll get into what I was going to say later. I thought this was great.
I do have one question. When you looked at the boot list after Savage went home and you said the boot list got it wrong, it wasn't Savage. What name was there? Or
Steven.
It was Steven. So that's why you made the bet against me. So you cheated.
That's not why I made the bet against you.
Yes, it is. That's a cheat. That is a cheapo move right there.
Here we go, man. Typical Will. You know what they call this, right? This is called being a sore loser.
What this is called is someone being dishonest. So I say I think Steven's going to go far, but you say, you know what? Actually, I just saw him that he was.
When did we make the bet?
Way after, literally an episode after the Savage one.
It was the episode after the Savage one.
It was the Cass one, and that's why it was the Savage one.
I thought it was the Cass one.
No, it was the Savage one.
Either way, I don't feel like I cheated. Steven's name was there, but the boot list was blown up. I didn't look at anything else.
Yeah, but what if they were wrong? I don't know. I think that definitely played a role in your decision.
It didn't. It completely did not.
If it had been Sierra's name, that would have been another story. But the fact that you went to look if the boot list was right when Savage went home and it said Steven, that gives you a pretty good idea that Steven doesn't make it to the end.
Why?
Because the boot list had been wrong the whole time. This is why I keep telling you, why do you keep checking this boot list every week to see if it's right?
I wanted to see when it was finally wrong.
And when you see when it's finally wrong, you see a name. And when you see that name, no way. I mean, I want to look at this boot list at the end of the game and see what
how accurate it actually is. I haven't looked at it. I have not looked at it since the Savage boot.
I'm glad because
I have no idea.
Enough of your spoilers, Phil.
Enough of my spoilers. You're the biggest baby of all time. I will take my 5 points. I'm going to wear a shirt next time that says, I got 5 points. I beat Will. It's going to have a fair and then a square because it's fair and square. Man, I am pumped.
I think you get the 5 points for sure, but I think now more than ever, I'm going to win the fantasy matchup just because of justice and God and winners, just good beating evil. Because you're looking at a boot list, seeing Steven goes home at what? That would be 10th?
10th, yeah.
Okay. And then
What if Joe's name is the next name on that list, though?
You wouldn't have made the bet.
Why not?
You wouldn't have.
I seriously thought Joe. I still think Joe has a chance to win this game. I've been saying this for so much longer than that, though. And this is where you give no credit. You brought up the bet after the Savage boot. That's when you brought it up. I have been saying Joe was going to. I've been saying for a long time that I thought Joe was going to go further than Steven.
I don't know. I don't think so. You
keep on saying that, like, this whole thing with Steven, he's going to win the game. He's going to win the game. He's going to win the game.
Not win the game.
Like, you know what? I don't know if it's going to happen.
I never said he was going to win the game. I thought he was going to outlast Joe. I thought he was going to take down Joe. I was wrong. I know I'm wrong. But I think you made the bet because you saw Steven's name in the boot list very early. And that's a great indicator of someone going home soon. And look who goes home in ninth. It's Steven. So let's get into more comments here unless we want to start the power rankings.
No, I want to keep reading comments, and I don't want to hear you talk no more. I guess you have to answer this one. Mel, do you think Jeremy would have played his second idol for Fishbach if he knew people were gunning for him again?
Why do I have to answer that?
I don't think so. I just want you to answer. I don't think so either.
Because you don't know what to say. Because you don't know.
Yeah, I looked at the boot list, so I knew that Jeremy would not play his idol for Steven the second time, obviously.
I think the only reason Jeremy played it in the first tribal was because he had two. If Jeremy has one idol, he's not playing that on Steven.
Exactly, 100%. I think that's what it really comes down to.
Which means he wouldn't play it in the second case either.
Yeah, which is kind of why I was saying, like, it was weird that Jeremy plays that idol and can't turn the game around. Maybe he thought he was going to have the ability after Sierra was gone. He got rid of, like, the leader of this little pack that's coming after his alliance, and maybe now he can turn the game around and get some numbers. So that's kind of what I'm thinking his reasoning was. Yeah, he wouldn't have played the second one because then he's defenseless.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All these are making fun of us for not doing the podcast. Caitlin, can't believe it. Really thought you made a stupid wager there, Phil. Didn't think you had a chance.
He read the boot list, so don't be impressed with Phil.
I mean, if you want to talk about, I mean, if you really want to keep on harping on this, anytime you beat me in anything, I'm just saying you cheated, and I'll back it up by saying Willie looks at the boot list. He just doesn't tell anybody. I mean, Willie looks at the whole boot list. When you put Cass as the merge boot, when there was no reason for Cass to be the merge boot, you cheated, man. You must have looked at that boot list.
What do you mean there was no reason for her to be the merge boot?
Oh, you thought she had a chance to win the whole game. You thought she was going to be top 5. You had her in your top 5 best chances to win the game. And then you put her in last place when the merge happens? You cheated, my friend. You looked at the boot list.
I don't even know how to access the boot list. I wouldn't even – the fact that if anyone – I win in the future, you say this, I can refer them to this video, you planning it. You're doing a very poor job of planning my sabotage when it's being recorded.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. But yeah. I mean, you can call me out all you want. 5 points, 5 points, 5 points, 5 points. Mel, do you think Jeremy's in trouble next week with him first playing one of his idols for Steven and then Steven getting voted out? And I guess now we can jump into the power rankings if you want, because I have Jeremy at number 1. And just because he has an idol. I don't think he's in trouble at all, Mel.
Yeah, I got Jeremy at 1 with the idol. I got Kelly at 2 with the idol. Other than that, it is tough.
Let's just stick with that and keep going with comments because that's exactly what I have to.
Okay. It's easy. It's like there's 8 people left. The voting block. I mean, we can talk about this too. Tasha kept saying, I think you do need alliances. And Joe had a confessional saying, supposedly no alliances. I mean, look, there are alliances in this game. Yeah. Just because people vote differently with different people doesn't mean you don't have alliances. Spencer, I think that you can, classify that as a flip. He voted with Steven and Jeremy for a while now into the merge, and he flipped up. He voted against them, sending one of them home. That's a very textbook Survivor flip, and I know there was this vote steal and other things going on, and then there was a vote split too. But that was a pretty direct flip, if you really look at it.
No, it really was. I agree. I think what Spencer did here, I think Spencer might have just taken control of the game, which is such a weird position to see Spencer in. Now, the only thing is he going to make a mistake, try to vote out Jeremy soon, and Jeremy plays his idol? Because I don't feel completely confident in Spencer making it far, but I do think he might have taken control of the game with this vote here.
I don't know. Do you think there's a possibility that Spencer goes back to Jeremy and says like, look, we needed to get Fish out of here. You were not on board with it. You know, we were going to do it last tribal. You played your idol on him. I had the votes to get Fish out one tribal. I had the votes to get him out again, and I was going to do it. And now I'm ready to work with you. I trust you, but I could not leave Stephen Fishbach in the game. He's too much of a threat.
No, that completely makes sense. And maybe that does happen. I mean, you know, here's my biggest problem with what just happened. We went through when we hit the final 10, we went through our 5 people who can win. We did them in like the order that we thought they could win. I had Steven at 3, and I think I had Sierra at 6. I think it was 3 and 6. My problem here is we still have Keith, Kimmy, and Abby Marie in this game. I don't want to see somebody like Spencer or Jeremy or Tasha or something like that go this week. And then all of a sudden we start getting – or I don't want to see them stay – I don't want to see them go this week. And then all of a sudden we start getting to this point where, like, there's less people who can actually win the game. So I hope somehow Jeremy and Spencer make amends here, and both of them keep going further. And I want to see the 2 of them, Kelly Wentworth and Tasha now. I want to see the 4 of them keep going through this game because I do think Joe has a chance to win, but I don't think – I'll get to this as we keep going with this power rankings. But if we keep around people like Keith, Kimmy, and Abby Maria – it gets less dramatic. It's what happened last season where everybody who had a chance to win gets voted out. The only one who's left is Mike, and from the edit, you can just tell he has to win once Haley and Shireen go home, and Jen and Joe. Once they're gone, it's over.
Yeah, at this point, it's pretty likely at least one of those 3, Kimmy, Keith, and Abby, one of them is going to get to the final 3. What we don't want happening is 2 of them getting there. And I think if we can avoid 2 of them getting there, then it'll at least be a pretty good final 3. I guess what we want right now is Spencer, Jeremy, Wentworth. I mean, any 2 of those in the final 3 is what we want. I fear that Jeremy, if he gets there,
Tasha or Joe could be there just because that would be a little dramatic. If any of the other 3 are in there, you know they're not going to win.
But even I wouldn't feel it all dramatic about a Tasha or Joe final 3. Or I mean, let's say
it depends who they're in there with, though. Like if it's Spencer, Jeremy, and Tasha, that's like a fun final 3. If it's Spencer, Wentworth, and Joe, that's like a really good final 3. Like those are final 3s that totally make sense.
No, what I'm saying is any combination of Jeremy, Spencer, and Kelly Wentworth, any combination of those, it doesn't matter who the other one is. It could be Joe, it could be Tasha, it could be Abby, it could be Keith, or it could be Kimmy. It doesn't matter.
As long as
one of those 3 will win. So we want to get 2 of those in there.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I was just saying if Joe or Tasha can be that 3rd person, that would be great. I don't really want to see one of the other 3 make it to the end just because I don't think they'd get the votes.
Yeah. Like I've been saying, I don't think Joe can win this game. But, you know, his spot, it's still not good. I guess we can go into power rankings here because we're talking about people's spot. I have Keith at number 3 just because I think Keith has a good relationship with a lot of people. And I don't think people see Keith as a threat to win, especially in this New Age Survivor. I know Kelly Wigglesworth, everyone said she was a threat, and we didn't see any of that. But she was the runner-up of season 1, coming all the way out here. That's a story. Keith, where's the story? What is his argument? He's kind of been. I mean, he hasn't really done anything like a big move. I mean, he voted for Fishbach twice in a row, but I think he can still. He's still like he was on that original Buy on Tribe with Joe, with Jeremy, with Kimmy. So he's got connections. I think he just voted with Abby, Wentworth, and Spencer. So I think Keith kind of fits well there at least. So I got him at 3.
Yeah, I have Abby Marie at 3, and I know that she was kind of close to going out this week, and people are probably starting to get really tired of her and all of that. But I think we're really at this point here where if Joe loses again, they really do have to vote out Joe. Because now they have the numbers where it could be 4-3 or something like that. They really do have to get rid of Joe now if they lose. I have Abby Marie at 3 because I don't think anybody thinks she's going to win. And right now, they're still trying to take out power players. I mean, they went after Steven twice last week. They went after Sierra because they want to get rid of the power players who can really dominate this game. Abby Maria, she's not a power player. She's not going to win the game. People are going to use her for as long as they can. And I do think that we might see Abby Marie in the final 3. What's up? Oh, no. Will. Oh, no. We were doing so well. I think Willie might have just lost it. We might have to separate this into – oh, you're here. You're here. Where were you? Where were you?
I don't know where you went. I was here the whole time.
All right, keep going then. Keep going. Talk again. Talk again. Oh my God, that was terrifying.
That was terrifying.
God.
I didn't really hear anything you said about Abby, but you said they're going to take out power players. I had Kimmy at 4, kind of going along with the power players, but yeah, she got 2 votes this week. I think she can find herself in the middle. Like I don't think she is like she has Tasha, she has Jeremy. Like I said, Keith was on that original Buy on Tribe. Spencer will work with anybody. And I think a lot of these people are just they'll work with anybody. And Kimmy's a vote, not a target. So I have Kimmy at 4.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually have Spencer at 4. I mean, I guess we can rip through these and then just go through the rest of the comments. I have Spencer at 4. The reason I have Spencer at 4, he's playing both sides of these alliances right now. And I don't think this is going to be the time where somebody in the middle goes home. I don't know how well Spencer's going to make it further in the game. But right now it seems like he's got Wentworth and Joe and them on his side. He still could go back to Jeremy and stuff and say what you said where it's like Steven was just too big of a threat. So I do kind of like Spencer's position. Although if you're looking at the 3 people we said to make the final 3 between Wentworth, Jeremy, and Spencer, I fear for Spencer just because he doesn't have the idol. At least the other 2 do.
Yeah, and people are going to start kind of saying, man, Spencer is a player. Like he is making moves. Was on the bottom early, like the underdog thing. People are going to start saying, look, Spencer's a good player. I have him at 5 just because I think he is going to go deep. I don't think he's going to win. I still think Jeremy is the winner. Wentworth 2, Spencer 3. But yeah, I have Spencer at 5.
Yeah, I have Keith at 5. Not really much to say about Keith. I think that he's finally coming around. He's getting like the happy-go-lucky guy. He's kind of in the show now. But I have him at 5. What I do fear for Keith, and I think all things point to that there's no medevacs this season, but I could see him getting hit on the head with something in one of these challenges, and that being the reason he goes home, although I don't think that that's going to happen here.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this, the medevac situation. You're telling me that there's probably not a medevac? It looks serious, though. It looks like somebody slipped onto the finger. But it's at the immunity challenge. The family member is a reward challenge. I replayed it. I paused it. It's a white male. There's only 3 white males left in the game: Keith, Spencer, and Joe. I don't know. And even looking at the hand, I got to say, it didn't look like an old man hand.
No, it didn't look like Keith.
It looked like a young hand. It looked like it's either Joe's hand or Spencer's hand.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to go down. All things I've heard is that the season that follows this one has a couple medevacs. I've heard that this season didn't have any. So maybe it does that. If you read the boot list enough, you'll find out if there's medevacs. But no,
so you can tell us, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a medevac at Final 4, but no. Redmond has been saying all along that there's no medevacs this season, and I pretty much go based on what he says because he's been incredibly accurate with this season so far in terms of there's going to be 20, then there's going to be 18, then they're going to go back to 14. There's going to be like all these tribe swaps, a big merge. He was calling all of this stuff. So if he's saying there's no medevacs, I put my faith in Redmond here. Redmond does not deal in spoilers, though. He does not deal with who's going to be there, what cast, or anything like that. So I don't think that there's going to be a medevac.
He does do cast spoilers, though.
Well, he does cast spoilers. I'm saying he doesn't do boot spoilers.
Right. Yeah, I guess I'm with you there. No medevac. But it looks like it's going to be Spencer Joe who gets hurt.
Yeah, it does.
It looks so bad, though. I don't know how they don't get medevac. It looks awful.
It looks bad, yeah. Anytime they have the finger on the pulse, they're checking the pulse. That's not normally good. Or whatever the hell that does. I don't know. I'm not a med student. I know. We said arachnid one time. This is probably going to be something we get made fun of for. Anyway, at number 6, I have Kimmy. I think that she's got a little bit of a target on her back just because she's so tight with Jeremy and Tasha. Now that Steven's gone, they were getting ready to have Kimmy be the one who goes home in case Steven plays an idol. So I do fear for Kimmy a little bit this week. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for her to go home. She's also starting to come around a little bit, though. Not that she has a chance to win, but she's coming around in terms of getting screen time. Everybody got a confessional in that first episode of the 2-hour last time.
Very good. That's what I like to hear and see. Yeah. Did anyone hit 10 in either episode?
I don't believe so. I'll go back and look, but I don't think so.
Got it.
I'll look at that.
Okay, well, I guess I'll go for my next here. I got Tasha at 6. I think Tasha had a bigger episode, a bigger showing at least than these two, because we were talking about, wow, she's really been invisible. She did have more to say, even though she still wasn't kind of the focal point of anything. She's a threatening player, Tasha. I think a lot of people like her. We say this all the time. I mean, I know you're not the biggest fan of Tasha, but she can win an immunity. So if Joe wins and in that witch alliance, or at least the two remaining witches, Kelly and Abby, and they pull in Spencer, and Kate say, look, let's take out Tasha. Like, she's connected with Jeremy, all this stuff.
And Keith will vote with them. I mean, it's an easy vote, really. I have Tasha at 7 for those reasons. I think that Tasha's starting to be built up a little bit more, and I wouldn't be surprised if that means she goes home soon. She's on the wrong side of the numbers, and she's more of a threat to win the game than Kimmy.
Yeah. I'll just go with my 7. I have Abby at 7 just because she showed signs of, like, asking to be voted out. And even though I don't think she's going to quit, this happens a lot where people kind of ask to be voted out, and it's not a quit. The cameras don't show it all. They kind of do an A-B. Are we going to go with Abby or Tasha? Abby or Tasha? Everyone's like, all right, we're going to go Abby because she just doesn't want to be here. Plus, she's a player that can, like, ruin your games. So safe to get Abby out. She's not going to have an idol or an advantage or anything like that. So I think if people are starting to get worried about idols, because everyone knows the one Jeremy played is re-hidden. Everyone knows that. People don't know that Kelly already found it. So
yeah,
Abby's a safe vote. 7 for her. That means I have Joe at 8, and I just think he's going to lose. I'm just going to have Joe at 8 until he goes home, pretty much.
Even when there's only 7 people left in the game. You said you'd have Joe at 8 until he loses.
I'll have him at the bottom. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Well, you correct grammar, but here's my thing with Joe. I have him at 8. The first episode, the first thing he said when he got out there was, last time in my season, I did not make the family visit, and I felt like I failed. I want to make the family visit this time. Next week is the family visit, thus completing Joe's arc. So I think Joe goes next week. And to be honest with you, when you were saying this whole thing with Steven and Joe, who's going to make it further? I've been waiting. I've been thinking to myself this entire season, there's no way Joe does not make the family visit after they gave him that confessional at the beginning of the season. That's why I kept thinking Joe was going to keep winning immunities and somehow go on this huge run and break the record and make the family visit. I'm shocked they're doing the family visit this early. I'm glad Steven went home last week, because had this happened, I might have said, let me not do this bet anymore, because I've been waiting for him to make the family visit.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I was just going to say, but, like, family visits can happen at any time. They do happen early sometimes. So, I mean, I think the Steven thing did help you, if not subconsciously. You did definitely entered your mind. I won't give you any more crap for it. I like giving you a hard time. It's fun to do.
It is fun. Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I had to talk about the cast thing. I'm having fun. Who's your eliminator pick? Because we're in an interesting situation here. So choose wisely. Listen to this. You have 2 people left that you can pick from. I have 3. You have Tasha and Wentworth. I also have Tasha and Wentworth. And then I have Spencer. Now, I've already made my decision on who I'm going to pick. So it's not going to be based on who you pick. I'm not going to be a scumbag and just be like, let me pick this person just because Willie hasn't. But you might run out of people here.
I think you can change your pick based on what I think. I think that's allowed. I'm not gonna.
I wasn't gonna. I just didn't want to be the guy who's like, Willie, you pick Tasha. Oh, I'm gonna pick Tasha too, or whatever.
I mean, you could do that, so that then you'd win, guarantee a win or tie. You can do that.
Nah. I'm going Spencer.
You're going
He's
Spencer.
The one you don't have. I'm going Spencer. I think he's in a really good spot this week, and I'm not sure how he's going to be going forward. I don't trust Tasha. I don't think Wentworth's going to have to play her idol this week. Therefore, I think Wentworth's in a pretty good spot right now. I think she's in a pretty damn good spot. She's got Joe as a shield. She's also got enough numbers right now where she could vote out a Tasha or a Kimmy or a Jeremy possibly. I think Wentworth's okay. If Jeremy were to play his idol at any point, Wentworth would play hers just out of fear. So I'm going to keep her around for a little bit longer. Tasha could very easily go home this week, so I'm going to go Spencer.
Yeah, Tasha could easily go home this week, and I think that's why I have to pick her, because that might sound odd and it might sound like a paradox, but if I pick Kelly this week and Tasha goes, then I lose. So I have to pick Tasha, hope she doesn't go home, and then I'll go Kelly Wentworth the next week, and then it's not looking good for me.
Yeah, you might just run out.
I just might run out. That's such a lame way to go, but
Oh, I'm actually lying. I still have 4 people left. I still have Abby Marie to choose from as well, but I'm not picking her. Oh no, I picked Abby Marie last week.
Yeah, I was
so
gonna
I could
say.
only have the 3. Yeah, I did. Okay, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, that's that. Let's just get into a lot of these comments because we still have a bunch left. Let's see here. Let me go back to Twitter. So Mel asks, do you think the voting blocks are really done for, or is the Spencer, Joe, and co-alliance going to stay strong?
Who is the Spencer? Spencer
I
Joe?
guess she said Spencer, Joe, Kelly Wentworth, Abby Maria, and Keith. That would be the 5 against the other 3.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know. I don't think they stick together. And it's not so much voting blocks. I think the whole voting block thing is really overblown up. I mean, they talk about it so much. I think at this point, this happens a lot when you hit the merge. You have 8 players left right now. Especially when we have a lot of gamers left. People are going to be flipping and flopping and moving around, making deals and things like that. Because you start thinking final 3 right now: who you can beat in the end, who you want to take there, who you want to put on the jury. So I don't think it's so much like this voting block thing. I think this is just it's going to be good Survivor played with good players.
Yeah, I think that's really what it's coming down to, and I think that's why this season has been so great so far. This double boot here, this was the best 2 boots in one night episode of Survivor ever. Normally you get like a boring boot and then a great boot. This was 2 fantastic boots. So much fun. This season, to me, just keeps working its way up the rankings, and if it finishes strong with a satisfying winner, I might be able to say at the end of this that this is a top 5 season, depending on how it finishes out and who the winner is. But so far, like it has lived up to the hype. Like it has been great. This post merge has been fantastic. I'm loving like every second of this right now.
Yeah, I need the 2 out of Spencer, Kelly, Jeremy in the final 3. Then it could hit top tier. That's what I want. I want like possible winners in the finale. I want like
exactly. You don't want a final 5 of Jeremy, Abby Maria, Keith, Kimmy, and then Tasha, because you're sitting there and you're like, well, Tasha could have a chance, but it's kind of like what everybody was doing last year. It was like Caroline could have a chance, or Carolyn, she could have a chance. Rodney could have a chance, but like we all knew deep down that they didn't have a chance to win the game just from the way they were edited. We all knew.
Exactly. It was so obvious. I don't want to go down that path again. At least last season at this point, we knew it was Mike already by where we are with 8 people left. Pretty much, I think. We knew it was Mike.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want that to happen again this season. So far, by them getting rid of Steven here after how much they've been playing him up since his like weird beginning, that's a pretty big move there. Giovanni Oriana, should Kelly have really targeted Steven? He used the advantage and Joe is the biggest threat. So who else? I mean, I think that they wanted Steven out, and that was why we were thinking maybe Abby. Just because he could have played the advantage, and since Spencer knew what the advantage was, he could have ran back and told everybody and been like, let's just vote out Abby. But, I mean, they got rid of Steven, so I think, yeah, that's a good move.
Yeah, I think we touched on this earlier. They honestly thought Steven was more threatening than Joe at this point in the game. That might sound crazy when we look at this edit and see Joe, look, he's winning all these challenges. Steven's kind of being a buffoon at times. That's not how they saw things. And they're out there 24/7 spending time together in a little shelter. Like they know what's happening.
Yeah. Giovanni Oriana, did Jeremy put himself in a better position playing the idol on Steven, as people probably won't think he has another idol? See, if I'm out there and he does that, I'm thinking he has something else up his sleeve. Because nobody gives up their advantage in a game that's as big as an idol just to try to keep their buddy around for one more vote. This wasn't a game changer. That's what I keep saying. This wasn't a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been, though. If Steven doesn't go right after, like I said, we can have very different opinions of this move. It would have been interesting to, like, do a brief recap just after that. But I think if I'm sitting – I see what you're saying, where it's like, look, maybe Jeremy does have 2 idols, because why would he play one for Steven? But I see what the comments also saying, like, look, Jeremy has one. What are the chances he gets another? I think more along with the comments line, although I do think your thinking makes sense. I just don't think that's how the players are thinking up there. You get your idol, you play it. Yeah, maybe you get another one, but it's not very likely.
Yeah. No, I see both sides right here. This is something where I can see both ways. We can't get in their heads, and that's why it's so much fun to talk about it, because some of these reasonings just don't seem to make that much sense. What season was the second reward challenge from? That was from all the earlier ones. They did the best one, I think, was Australia. They did like a great one there. They did one in Africa, I think. Like they used to do them all the time.
There was one with I think you had to do it with keys. Maybe this was the first season where you would you're running through the night and you're unlocking keys. Maybe this was Vanuatu. I don't know. And someone like dropped their key.
Yeah.
What season? Huge. I don't know. Maybe that was Africa. I don't know.
I think it might have been it might have been Africa, and Ethan thought he won and he ended up losing to Lex or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's always a fun challenge though, because it's like how much can you actually pay attention when you're hurting as bad as they are. I love that challenge. I wish they would do that more. Yeah, I don't know. I like that. Do you think Spencer should take out – this is still Giovanni Ariano. Do you think Spencer should take out Steven? Why not take out someone like Jeremy or Joe? Once again, I think Spencer's working with Joe, and I think that he can still go back to Jeremy like you said earlier. You brought up a great point. He can go back to Jeremy and say, look, man, I just had to get rid of Steven because he was too much of a threat to win this game. I'll still work with you.
Yeah, and like I keep saying, I think Steven was way bigger of a threat than we were led to believe. Like that like you say – why not take out a power player like Joe or Jeremy? Steven was a power player. He was.
No, he was 100%. Exactly. And I think that speaks to why he got voted out in this situation over somebody like Joe. People were scared that he was going to be able to make it deep in this game and win. And they all knew with his advantage and with the brain he has on him for this game, yeah, he could easily go far.
Especially when you're Spencer and you kind of like, your nemesis was Tony, who just kept getting like advantages and idols and things that like he made up the rules for a special idol. It's just something like you want to get that stuff out of the game. Like you don't want to be there at final 6 and Spencer, you know what? You can't vote tonight. Steven's going to vote for you. Like, yeah, maybe you worked with him and you flipped with Jeremy and him to vote out Kelly Wigglesworth, but you can't have that lingering around there deep into the game.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of skip some of the questions that like we've already answered like a lot just because in terms of time. Otherwise, this could go on a very, very long time. Caitlin, did Jeremy ultimately lose Spencer when he played the idol on Fish? What can he do moving forward to stay in the game?
I don't know if it was that Jeremy that lost Spencer. I think it was Steven not taking Spencer on reward. Jeremy does say, like, I would have done the same for you. And Spencer immediately says, he says, I know, but then we get a confessional in the next episode saying, I think I'm being lied to. I'm going to go see what Kelly Wentworth is up to. Pretty much is not, not word for word, but like that's pretty much the gist of what he's saying. So maybe the idol did kind of turn Spencer off saying, wow, what the hell? Like we agreed on Sierra or we agreed on Fishbach. Why'd you vote for Sierra?
It's almost like, why didn't you just tell me that you wanted to do this? You didn't trust me enough to just make that vote? You know what I mean? And maybe he didn't, because it seemed like Spencer was really gung-ho on getting rid of Steven.
They were both so gung-ho about it, and that's when Spencer said something's got to give. Well, what had to give, Jeremy had an idol. And great. You're not going to tell Spencer that.
Great move I want to bring up real quick, too, and this was at the end of the first episode. Jeremy was sitting on the beach. I believe it was with Spencer and Joe and Kelly Wentworth, and they said they want to vote out, or it was, I forget who it exactly with, but it was they want to vote out Steven. And Jeremy goes, oh, we're going to do Steven tonight? Like, he acted like he was totally down for it, and we did get to see that. That is great gameplay, though, because you're just throwing it out there like, I'm down to do whatever. I'm not the one in the driver's seat. I will do this. Like, I'll pay attention. Something Savage could have really learned from instead of saying, we're voting this person. No, like, this was great. I thought that was a really small, but, like, shows how well Jeremy is playing right now.
Yeah, that's a great catch right there. He did say that, and then after he goes, like, you could tell that he was thinking about, like, he was making it look like he was thinking about it, taking a while, because he eventually says, that's a bad move. I don't like it. But he didn't reject it right away. It's like, oh, Jeremy, how about this? And he kind of goes, yeah, I don't think that's the best idea. He wasn't like, no. Like so many people do on Survivor when someone's name gets brought up that they don't want going home for personal reasons. They go, no. And that shows, like, kind of where you're at. But Jeremy just sits there and slowly thinks about it and says, you know what, I think Sierra's dangerous, guys, and puts it in the frame of, I don't want to save Steven. I want to get out Sierra.
Yeah. No, I think you're spot on right now, Will.
I'm agreeing with you. So
exactly. That's why I think you're spot on. The next question, Caitlin, would it have been a better move to take out Jeremy tonight as opposed to Steven? I just think it was at the point here where nobody was willing to work with Steven. People are still really willing to work with Jeremy. Does that make sense?
When he says they, I don't know what they mean by they. Because, I mean, Spencer was the one who flipped. Spencer wasn't going to take out Jeremy. So that means it would have to – and Kimmy wasn't going to vote out Jeremy. I mean, we haven't talked much about Kimmy, but she is pretty much tight with Jeremy. Did Tasha flipped? I think Tasha was with Jeremy. So if you're thinking about it, that's Abby, Kelly Wentworth, Keith, Joe. That's 4. That's not enough to – I mean, and obviously there's different plans going on because Spencer was, making moves. But to throw out Jeremy out there, I don't think you could – then that 4 can't pull anyone over.
Yeah, I think Steven was the right move here for them. Mel, do you think since Joe wasn't voted out this week, he'd be okay if he didn't win immunity in the future? No, I think that Steven was just a bigger target right now. I think Joe's done the next time he loses immunity. I think people are so wary of the guy anyway, and yeah, he's in that alliance that seems to be 5 versus 3, but they have to be thinking if we get rid of Joe, we still have 4 versus 3, and we don't have. But then any of us can win challenges. And the way this game has jumped around so much, I would not feel safe if I was anybody.
Yeah, and I don't think it really is 5-3 right now. And again, it's a voting block, but didn't we say this all last season too? They voted together this time, but it doesn't look like they're going to vote together again. I mean, I don't think this is that new. I mean, maybe the frequency at which it is happening is new, but these kind of votes where people they flip one time and then flip back, that does happen before.
Yeah. It happens all the time. Could definitely be a thing. Smarty Pants 405, assuming Will chose to watch Survivor instead of spending time with his relatives, he made the right decision. Any regrets? What was your biggest regret, Will?
I don't have any regrets. I watched all 2 hours. I got to watch it with a lot of my family that haven't seen the show, and they got into it. A lot of them, after seeing those 2 hours, they're going to finish off the season, because those were 2 damn good hours. So that's some new Survivor fans.
Hey, maybe that's what Survivor was doing here, though. Maybe they thought – I know that we kept saying, it just happened to have, open time slots and stuff, and maybe they knew they had 2 great episodes, and if somebody in your family watches the show, they get the same amount of viewers every single week. Maybe they thought, hey, maybe we can get some people to watch it with their families, and their families would be like, oh, I like this show.
I doubt that's the case, Phil.
It's in there, man.
The case is there's a more popular show on Wednesday nights that they can't risk airing a new episode because people are traveling that day. But Survivor was like, whatever, we'll do it because we have loyal fans.
What show's more popular that's on after it?
I don't know. CBS, though. America's most watched network. But yeah, I have no regrets because we tried twice to podcast. I tried everything I could. There was no connection. I mean, we started 2 up and they just failed. Almost like it failed right now.
That was scary.
I don't regret anything, honestly.
Yeah. Ash, I'm here. Why am I hearing myself? Well, okay, it's gone. Is it a testament to Joe's social game that he made it out of the tribal with only 2 votes, or was it because of something else? I think it was just a bad split. I think that, he played well socially with everybody else, but I think it's just a mistake of a split on everybody else's part.
Yeah, he should have gone home. I mean, we can talk about, he loses immunity and he's around, but, he should have gone home. I guess you can also argue, well, wait a sec, Steven did have this super powerful advantage. If Steven didn't have that, then Joe would have been safe. So you got to give him some credit. But I think having Steven around was the perfect thing that Joe needed when losing. Steven was right there. He still had his advantage. Everyone was so on board with getting Steven out.
Yeah. And then this is a good point. This is Mel again, and I know this is just because they were commenting right at the end of the video, so there's a bunch of them in a row. But she said, did you think that when Wentworth said she was going to play her idol tonight that she was going to use it for herself or someone else? Why did Survivor throw that in there as a little dramatic twist when it never seemed like she was ever going to need to use it?
I think it was just to build up the craziness that's going on. I mean, that was one of the crazier kind of pre-tribal. There was so much going on. Steven tells Spencer about the advantage. Jeremy and Tasha already know about it. So you have 4 people knowing about this advantage. And then you have Fishbach's name in the air, Joe's name in the air, Abby's name in the air. So I think they're just wow, let's fill the cup all the way. Let's just mention Kelly having an idol. And maybe she'll play it. And I think they even mentioned to Jeremy that episode. He mentioned that he has like another idol, so like you know that he could play one. So I think they're just trying to get like maximum craziness for the vote.
That makes sense. They're just trying to kind of, they're trying to play it up to be more than it actually is, which was a great vote anyway. You didn't need any idols to be played there. That was a great vote anyway. Ash, why do the castaways keep getting into situations where they have to rely on Abby to vote with them?
Because she's still in the game. And if you're still in the game, if you're in the game, you're a vote. It doesn't matter. Like Jeremy's vote is just one. Kimmy's vote is just one. Keith's vote is just one. Just because you're a power player or a strategic player, your votes don't count for more. Unless you're Steven and you can steal someone's vote.
You feel Kelly Wentworth's annoyance so much, though, when she's sitting there trying to like talk to Abby, and Abby's like, I have a lot to think about tonight. And it's like, my God, Abby, you have nothing to think about. Just do the vote. Just vote. Like, just vote this way.
And that's why I thought Abby was going home, because she kept like, there was so many hints at it. I was like, Abby,
and she even said she wanted to go home.
Yeah. I was so excited. I was like, yes, Abby, go home. I'm going to win the Eliminator challenge, even though I was just such a underdog in this thing. It is crazy, though, that you have 3 left. I have 2 left. It's not like I'm getting killed here, and we're both still alive.
Yeah. I'm happy I didn't use Sierra or Steven last week. I'm happy I didn't use Steven last week because he was a very viable option. I couldn't think of the word. He was a viable option there. I'm happy I didn't use him. Like Sierra, I would have never used, but Steven, that would have sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about using Steven, and I was like, maybe he uses the advantage in episode 1, builds up a resume, and then people want to knock him off.
Yeah, so it's hard with him for 2 episodes. That's ballsy. Jimmy O'Connor, I think Jeremy will be able to get through this mess, especially with that idol. What do you think, man? I think Jeremy's going to be able to hang around for a little while. So
he's still the winner in my book. So until someone else really makes, I mean, Kelly Wentworth is right there. Right now, you got to think it's one of them two. Spencer just made a great move. But as I say, I think we get a lot of Spencer because 1, he's a good player. 2, he's the fan favorite. They got to see all the votes he got, and then 3, he's actually like relevant to the game. They're not just showing him for no reason. Like he has things to say. He knows what's going on. So I don't know necessarily. One of the reasons is that he is the winner, so that's why we're getting a lot of him.
Yeah. Not Survivor related right here, but Smarty Pants 405. I'm always amazed when the internet is so spotty, so close to the heart of Silicon Valley. Man,
I'm in Lake Tahoe, and it wasn't that my internet is spotty. It's just we literally had 17 people total here at our house in Tahoe. We rented the house across the street. Our neighbors said we could rent it out, so most people were sleeping in 2 separate houses, but during I tried watching the East Coast stream at 5, everyone was here, and then at 8 and 10, everyone was here too. It was on their phones, it's just that's it. It's a bandwidth thing.
Yeah. Camden Ewan, why did Jeremy play that idol? That was a bad move, I believe, and that was something that we're still kind of in the middle of. I still don't know if it was a good move or a bad move.
We say, okay, if Jeremy ends up winning, that doesn't mean every move that he did was good. And it's like you can win a game if you're a starting pitcher of baseball. You can win a game and give up, 2 home runs and win 5-3 or something like that. You get the win. You made mistakes. I think that Jeremy move was a mistake. It was made even more clear by the second episode. I guess the only thing you can say is that he did have 2 idols. So, I mean, yeah, you keep your alliance around. I mean, Steven after that was so loyal to Jeremy. So loyal. And that's rare to get in Survivor. So there's something to be said for it.
And if Jeremy gets to the end with Steven, he can sit there and go, this guy wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for me right now.
Exactly. I don't think Steven was honest about that, though. I mean, maybe emotionally in the moment, like, I'm with you, he'll say that.
Yeah.
5 days later, when you have the numbers to get out Jeremy, Steven's flipping. I mean, he's not going to let his buddy that saved him and that he was played the game with since day 1 beat him again.
Yeah. It'd be JP all over again. Henry Alford, I feel like Steven wanted to get rid of the advantage because it made him a threat. There was no need to play it. He absolutely had to play it, otherwise he was going home. He had to play it to get Joe. He just played it so wrong.
Yeah, if he doesn't play it, it's what? It's 6-3?
I believe so, yeah.
Or is it's a 4-2-3 because the 2 girls voted Kimmy.
Yeah, so the two – I don't even know. No,
No,
because the two girls voted Kimmy the first time, not the second time.
oh, the second. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Getting the two tribals mixed up. Yeah, so that would have been even. Yeah, he needed to play it. He just needed to put all his votes. He could have done either 2 on Abby or 2 on Joe, or did it have to be 2 on Abby?
He probably would have had to do – I think he would have had to do 2 on Abby to get it there. But he should have just taken himself and everybody who voted for Abby and just said, we're all voting for Joe. Don't split the votes. I mean, this is just – they've been messing up the vote split the entire game right now. They really can't get it right. They do it when they should.
It's because they mess up that they mess up again. It's like one leads to the other. Man, we didn't split for Kelly Wentworth. Okay, now we have to split this time. But this time it's when it's dangerous to split. So, man, it was a tough use of the advantage. He did have to use it though, and I think he does. The commenter, I forget the name, says Steven wanted to use it to get rid of it. I think there is some truth to that. Like
there is definitely truth.
I have this. We're at 9 right now. We're steep enough in the game. Let me get the target off my back. Let's take somebody big out like Joe and move forward.
Yeah, that's definitely true because he knew that everybody was really like focusing on the fact that he had that advantage. I mean, that's what I was kind of saying in the power rankings where you put Steven at 4 and I put him at 7. My whole reason for putting him at 7 was because the advantage so many times in Survivor, once somebody gets something and it's out in the open like that, they're targeted because everybody knows they have it and they don't know what it is and they want to get rid of it. All right, so Larry Miller, do you think the advantage is of the new car curse? I mean, it's seeming that way right now.
It's too early to really say.
Somebody will figure it out. Let me see here. I've already talked about the Ponderosa videos. They're fantastic. The Star 88, I think Jeremy is clearly going to the final 3 based on his edit. I mean, it's going to be still a rocky road for him, but
I hope who are you rooting for now? Because I've said this for a while. I was rooting for Steven, even though Jeremy was my winner pick before the game started. I guess I'm now rooting for Spencer to somehow pull it out because he'd be a good Survivor winner.
I like Kelly Wentworth, man. I still do.
I do too. I like her a lot too. I'd be totally good with
I would totally be down with her winning just because if she finally wins, we might like get to hear like how like she's like one of the best female players instead of just hearing like the same names over and over again. Like, like the Parvati and Sandra and all that stuff. It's like good that we can like add somebody to that list. Because if you look at the other women who are left in the game, Tasha has a chance to win, but Kimmy and Abby have no chance to win. So you're not getting anything from them right now. I would love to see Kelly Wentworth win this game. I think she's playing it really well, and she's incredibly likable. And they're really editing her to be incredibly likable.
Yeah, I would totally be okay with a Kelly win. Any of the 3 front runners, they'd make great winners.
I completely agree. Ash, I think Keith, Kimmy, or Abby could go out next week since they all had confessionals in last week's double episode. Thoughts? Do you think the confessional still plays an effect, or at this point they're giving confessionals to everybody left in the game because it's final 8?
I mean, yeah, it means less and less as we whittle down the numbers. But I think Abby just not even the number of confessionals, just the content of them that she's ready to go. She's ready to go.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think she's had enough.
And they didn't need to show that. Like they could have shown Abby like, they had multiple conversations with Abby and someone else. The someone else is like, man, Abby's crazy. And then they also included the fact that she wants to go home. I don't think they include that. They don't really need to. So I think she does go home soon. I don't think that's like a final 3 edit anymore for Abby, even though it still makes a whole ton of sense to take her there.
Yeah, exactly. I still think we might see her sitting there, but yeah, I agree with you. It's starting to play up like she could go home anytime now. Let's jump over to YouTube. We don't have that many comments, but we'll jump into them. This is on the last video because I don't have my phone. But Sugar Rush, if Abby flipped, there would have been 3 votes on Joe, Steven, Jeremy, and Abby. 3 votes on Abby and 3 votes on Steven. At the revote, those 3 wouldn't be able to vote. So Kimmy, Jeremy, and Tasha would vote Joe. Kelly, Keith, and Spencer would vote Steven. This is crazy. If this happened, then there would be a rock draw between Jeremy, Kimmy, Tosh, Kelly, and Keith. Do you think Kelly or Keith would have changed their vote or risked drawing rocks? I mean, that's a lot of crazy.
I wasn't really completely. I don't know. How do they get to rocks?
It would be if Abby had flipped and voted on Joe, because like how she was talking to Kelly Wentworth, like, oh, I want to get rid of Joe. I have a lot to think about tonight. If Abby would have voted with all them, and it would have been 3-3-3.
But then when it's 3-3-3, the 6 all vote for the same one.
Well, she's saying though, because of the way it would be.
But you revote first.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know because my whole thing is like that's like so much to think about. I don't think anybody's willing to draw rocks this season. I just don't see that happening at all this season. That's too much. That like to lose your second chance because of rocks is insanity. I don't think anybody does that this season. Cole Jordan, I thought that Wentworth finding the clue made the challenge so much more interesting, and then finding the idol was really funny. Do you think that this find was too easy because she randomly found the clue and then he knew exactly where the idol was? 100%. Like I love that they hid it under the camp, but yeah, I'm thinking that just because the clue was so random, anybody could have done that. Jeff could have accidentally grabbed that one.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the problem with it. That was all luck getting that clue. Yeah. And it didn't even take that much skill to like get it out from the shelter. All you need to do is wait for everybody to be gone, and then boom.
Yeah. The Gamer Girl 2330, I think that second episode reward challenge would have been better if it was Survivor Trivia. That's really cool, especially since these are second chancers. This would have been the time to do Survivor Trivia. To be like, what do you guys know? How much have you paid attention? And now Wigglesworth was gone, so everybody else here really pays attention.
Yeah, I'd like to see something like that. I'm also very worried now that there's not going to be an auction this season.
Yeah.
Just you would probably get it at episode 9, and they, and then or 8. But we have the family visit, so that's not looking good. And 7 is way too late for the auction, so that's a big disappointment. I don't know why they choose to omit the auction,
especially since this is lining up to be a finale that starts with 6 people. If you look at the dates, that's how it's lining up.
Unless there's another 2-hour.
Yeah, there would have to be another 2-hour, but I mean, that would be 3 2-hours in 4 weeks for Survivor. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That's the finale. That's crazy. Let's see. Survivor Lover, after the last episode, did your chances of winning the mini game that you did last podcast change to the episode? Yeah, we talked about that. That was the I'm assuming they're talking about the Eliminator challenge. That Oh no, the chances of winning. Did your chances of winning, not meaning us, the other people? Oh, okay, because we did like our top 10. I don't know.
We've said it. I mean, I still think it's Jeremy 1, Kelly 2, Spencer 3. That's what I had, and that's all that matters. The top. And then
3. Joe and Tasha would be the next 2, and then Keith, Kimmy, and Abby don't really have a chance. I think that's.
Yeah, those are your tiers right there.
Yeah. Henry Alford, do the 8 people who put out the White Rock count for the prop bet? No, because we specifically said they have to step down for food, and they did not step down. I guess there were cookies though, but they did it for the shelter.
Wow,
that's a tough one.
Because Jeff probably mentioned the cookies though,
but he didn't mention it to us. So when they were eating cookies, I was like, no wonder they all took the deal. They all wanted cookies.
I think the shelter is more important than cookies, but if you throw in cookies there, I mean, they had muffins, I think, too. Man, so they did step down for food. It's not wrong. I didn't really think about that because it was shelter, but
let me see if I have the person. I don't have the person, so it shouldn't count.
I don't either. Yeah. It was Venus, so yeah.
I don't know though, because but it really is hard because they did step down for food. But at the same time, when we wrote this up, 100%, everybody knows that this is what we were thinking. They're on like a perch. Jeff brings out food and says, you can step down for cookies, you can step down for peanut butter. That's what we were thinking.
Well, no, I also thought, or you can choose to sit out the immunity challenge and go to town on food while the other people participate.
I mean, they just sat there and watched people participate. There was no food really involved, and we didn't even know as viewers that there was food involved until we saw them eating.
Ah, man, that sucks. It's up in the air. I'm leaning towards yes on it because they did step down for food, and I'm sure Jeff mentioned the cookies. They just edited it out because we would have seen when they got back. They go, "Oh my God, there are cookies!" They would have jumped up and down. They're kind of like, "Oh yeah, there's cookies," because duh, Jeff told us.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very, very true. The next comment is. I thought, it's from the Gamer Girl. I thought Reed won the foot challenge in San Juan del Sur. I thought it was Baylor. It might have been Reed. It probably was Reed. I thought it was Baylor.
I thought it was Baylor too.
I thought it was Baylor. I'm pretty sure it was Baylor. Maybe I won't completely fold to this. I mean, I can't really have a way of looking it up like instantly, but Baylor won an immunity challenge in San Juan del Sur. I'm looking at that right now. No, she won it. Only using their feet, the castaways would unspool a rope and then place the box. Yeah, no, so Baylor won it. Got to give all the Baylor shout-outs we can get on our show. Let's see here. Jalen Murphy, from the edit so far, it seems like it's between Jeremy and Wentworth to take the win. I would say, yeah, but you definitely have to throw Spencer in there too. Spencer definitely.
Definitely.
definitely. Ween Dog 2, that's a new one. Why would Steven write down 2 different names on his steal? We still don't know. Like, it probably made sense in his head. He probably thought he had more people with him than he did.
No,
he probably thought everybody was just on board to vote out Joe.
No, I know why. It was Spencer. He thought he had Spencer voting for Joe.
Yeah.
And so if Spencer votes for Joe, then it's 3 votes Fishbach, 3 votes Abby, 3 votes Joe, and then they re-vote and vote Joe because they were worried about Joe having an idol. That was definitely a very legitimate concern.
No, that's true. That's good reasoning. Jalen Murphy again. If somehow Jeremy and Spencer make the final 3, I feel like Jeremy can beat Spencer maybe just saying his wife is pregnant and all for his family sob story might get him the win. Do you think that Jeremy would do that, though?
Yeah, definitely.
I do too.
Not only have we seen it, he's talked about Val, and Val played Survivor. Like, the fans of Survivor know who Val is. She is pregnant. We had that confessional about her stomach. I just want to touch her stomach, all that stuff. He cried for Savage's story. It's been set up for him to use that as an argument. It would make sense. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. And it's a good argument. I mean, he is a dad. Dads, you got, $1 million.
He's a dad. He's a fireman. He's a family guy. It's hard not to root for him against a 23-year-old guy. I mean, and I'm a 23-year-old guy, and I'd say that it's hard to not vote for him.
I don't see Spencer getting the end and not winning, though.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling a little bit, too. Let's see here. Jalen Murphy. Jeremy reminds me of Tyson from Brave, the Blood vs. Water. Pretty much the whole time in the game, in control. I don't know, though, because he wasn't in control. These last 2 boots, he wasn't really in control. I mean, his closest ally got voted out twice. So I don't think he's been in control the whole time. Tyson never had that happen, except for Rachel gets voted out really early, but that didn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do see similarities, though, with them finding idols, with them. I mean, so far, Jeremy has not been threatened.
Yeah. No, that's true. Survivor Lover, the injury looks very serious. Who do you think it is? I mean, we might as well just do it now. Who do you think it's going to be? If there is an injury, who do you think it is?
Joe.
Yeah, I think Joe too, just because they showed the white hand. That's what's doing it for me. Otherwise, it's a family member. That's it for the show.
I think it's Joe or Spencer, because of the hand didn't look like a Keith hand.
It's probably Wes. Wes comes out as Keith's loved one, somehow gets hit in the head. I don't know. He can still be there. That would just be really ridiculous. But that was the last Survivor comment.
What video is that on?
What video?
That was our predictions video?
Yeah, that was the predictions.
Okay, so I have one comment on this video from Mobile, from Giovanni Orellana. Do you think Kelly and Abby should have voted out Joe? Then Kelly can use her idol at Final 8 and get a majority of her, Abby, Spencer, and Keith.
That's a good point.
I mean, the only thing with that is can you make sure the other side votes for you?
Yeah, exactly. Unless you just think about Bryce. But especially this late in the game, then you're losing jury votes. If you're getting people to vote for you, you're doing something wrong at this point in the game.
Yeah. I think that's just too many moving pieces there. Hold on to your idol. Take out a big threat and Fishbach. Especially if you're on the bottom, it's like beggars can't be choosers. Like, someone comes to you, they want to get someone out. You got to say, yeah, I'm on board. That sounds good to me. I'll work with you. You don't want to go, hey, you know what? Let's get out Joe. Because then they say, all right, no, Joe's in my alliance. I like Joe. We're going to take out one of you 3 because you're on the bottom, or one of you 2.
Yeah. And then non-survivor question from Camden Ewan: Pats or Broncos tonight? That's what we're going to end on here.
Pats.
Pats all the way. No way Osweiler beats Brady. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a landslide too.
Osweiler has a better chance than Manning would have, though.
Definitely. The way Manning was looking this year, yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I guess Wednesday we will be here. We will be relevant on Wednesday night. It'll be West Coast, though, because I work late on Wednesday. So we'll be West Coast, not East Coast. Sorry, East Coasters.
Hopefully my plane doesn't crash.
Geez, Willie. Wow, that got morbid really quick.
Well, you said we're going to be here. I mean, we hope.
Wow, man. That was morbid. Holy crap. Anyway, anybody who still has joy left in their life after that, we'll be back on Wednesday.
Todd Maris has some joy.
Yeah, seriously. With some Survivor recapping. We'll do it not on Sunday this time, and we won't have to do 2 hours of podcasting at one time like we did here. down to the final 8 should be good. Willie with the prop bet game. It was Thanksgiving weekend. Give him a break. He'll have it next time.
Yeah, that's right. It's been busy. It's been really busy. And the Warriors are now 18-0. It's just amazing. Tune into the Warriors if you like some just perfection on the basketball court. Okay, we'll see you Wednesday.